guys, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to talk about a term I'm not a big fan of, and that's what we're going to call starter genes. The reason I'm not a big fan of starter genes is because they're genes that have value. That makes it sound like, that makes like that, 1987 Ford Taurus I bought for my first starter car, which is a piece of royal shit. Or it sounds like, when they're like, oh, something's cheap and crappy, so it's a starter version. That's why I don't like the connotation. But these morphs are a little bit less expensive to get into. They make great pets. They make great breeders for some combos that you may want to do. And you're not having to invest huge money to get started and make neat things. So I want to talk about them, but I want to make sure that everyone understands, even though we would call these starters, there's a lot of value to them. Because the only difference is skin deep when it comes to most of these morphs. So I'm going to pick a few. Kurt's going to pick a few, and we're going to talk to you about why we like them. And I'm going to start with one, and for this video too, because you guys know I'd say Xanthic. And Kurt would probably say clown, and he'd probably say inchy. I have banned him from saying inchy on this video, and we're going to stick to only incomplete dominant or dominant. We are not going to go with anything that's recessive since we're doing starters. My first pick is going to be spider. A few simple reasons. Pull out a spider here. Hiya, girly. I know. Calling her spider's kind of cheating. She's actually a spider het snow, and she got big enough to breed this year. But here's why I like spider. One, when you look at this versus a normal, this is probably one of the biggest differences from a normal you're going to see. This thing looks wild. If you think about the first time somebody had one of these and reproduced it, which would have been Nerd, I do believe, had the first spider. I mean, it's amazing. There's white all over the sides of these things. I know, you're all tense. And just a pattern. This is a great spider. A lot of nice white. Really cool pattern dropping down through there. No dots to speak of. I really dig this spider. But it also makes great combos. When you put it to things, when it makes bumblebees, it makes all kinds of crazy stuff. Stinger bees. There's not a lot of things that spider doesn't go well with, in my opinion. That being said, there are a few things. One, you're going to hear about the wobble. Let me tell you, do you see anything wrong with that snake? Anybody? You see it? You see the wobble? I'll tell you when I do see it. There it was, right there. Did you see it? I bet not. Because unless you know exactly what you're looking for, oh, there it was a little bit again, right there. It's hard to see unless you get one that's really, really wobbly. It is not going to affect this snake one iota through its life. They're great eaters typically. They have a great personality. They're just like any other ball python. So, that being said, that will keep some people away. Didn't me. Spider's one of my favorite genes. I love these guys. I absolutely love them. Now, are they perfect? They're not. Like anything, there's a trade-off. One, there are certain things that you cannot pair with spider. Some will say spider to spider's bad. Others say spider to spider's fine. Personally, I'll tell you, I don't know. I'm going to keep my dog completely out of that fight. I don't pair spider to spider until something comes out definitive. But a lot of people say it's okay. A lot of people say it's not. But what you can't do is do not put spider to champagne. Don't do it. You'll have dead babies, okay? So there are and there's a few other genes out there like that are lethal combos with spider. So before you start pairing your spider, you do have to check that. That is the one knock I have on that gene, is that it does have some lethal combos out there. And there may be more that we find. That's just a possibility, because as things get done, you may find lethality in other related morphs. It's just, that's a sad fact. On the positive note, I would challenge you to find me a snake that has a single gene that you can get into for the price of a spider that looks that different. And you're going to be hard-pressed, unless you tell me pinstripe. It looks pretty different too. But they're just a wild-looking animal. I love what they do to the pattern. I love that barbed wire look. I am just a spider fanatic. It's in a lot of my collection because of that. So I don't think you can go wrong with spider. Kurt, anything you want to add with spider?
Nope.
Plus, it's got a bitchin' name. That's one thing that New England Reptile Distributors, which is Kevin over there, he was one of the ones that started giving all these artsy-fartsy cutesy names to snakes. And not, like, instead of just saying morph, whatever, name it like Spider. Or, he's got a ton of those names out there. Spider is such a cool name. And it was a great marketing plan, because when you call something Spider, versus pattern mutation A, it's going to sell, or name it off the location or something like that. That makes it sound cool. It's going to sell. And that did wonders, I believe, for the ball python market. Was when those kind of names started coming out. Whether it's lesser platinum, spider, pastel, which was a Grey Graziani one. All these things start hitting, and those cool names really did help the market. So, Kurt, give me one of yours that you think would be a great starter snake.
Well, I think pastel because every collection should have it, and it's in so many combination of morphs.
It is. Pastel, by itself, is a pretty... Oh, you are in shed. I do not want to show you off. You are literally like starting to shed right now. You are going to shed by tomorrow. Well, that thing's a mess, but I'll tell you what I will do. We will show off this girl. She's not in shed anyway. Oh, you're not. This is a big pastel. So pastel, by itself, I don't think looks as different from a normal as a spider. It is a color mutation mostly. There is some pattern mutation there. But you can see as adults, they do what they call browning out. They're much brighter as babies. Then as adults, they kind of turn this really cool goldish color. This is a really nice looking pastel here. And they got a little bit of that white coming in on the sides. Now, I agree with Kurt. This, if you don't have pastel in your collection, you should. You should. Pastel improves almost everything, the exception being banana. My humble opinion. And I'll show you what I mean. You know, the first two moves we talked about were pastel and spider, right? You put pastel and spider together, you can start making these crazy things right here, which are bumblebees. And you can see that spider pattern, you can see that pastel color coming out. These things are gorgeous. This is one of the first ball pythons I fell in love with, was these guys right here, along with the axanthic stuff. So, together, they are awesome. Not to mention, pastel has a super form. So let me show you that snake I just showed you, but instead of pastel spider, it's super pastel, which is homozygous pastel spider. One of the first snakes that was one of my goals to make, and we did. That's my killer bee female. Look at that. That is just an awesome looking animal. You know, I mean, and the great thing now is in today's market, you can get these for a really reasonable price. When 10 or 15 years ago, I mean, this is thousands and thousands of dollars, and now this thing is pet price, and it's got super pastel. It'll never make a normal. It's got spider. It's a crazy looking snake. There you go. There's a little bit more spider wobble if you missed it. That's my worst wobbler. She does fine. Pastel, just, there's nothing it doesn't go well with. I'm trying to think of something else we have pastel with, Kurt. Anything you could think of?
Pastel lesser.
Oh, how did I forget that? Yes. This. And you put it with lesser. Look what it does with lesser. It just does amazing stuff. I mean, I don't really have to even say much about the snake. It kind of just speaks for itself, you know? Lesser pastel is awesome. So pastel can literally go with about anything. You can even take it to another level, especially with both those first genes we talked about. We start adding recessive stuff to it. That's the pastel spider axanthic. I know I said I wouldn't talk about recessive, but that's not the starter part. That's just what you can lead up to eventually. It does wonderful, wonderful things. All right, and this leads me into my next choice for a starter snake, and that is going to be a lesser. We'll leave that right there. So you can see the difference that pastel causes. Although I think you are going into shed. Yes, you are a little bit. A little dark going into shed, but right there, this is mama. See what I mean? So definitely a big difference when you add that pastel. You can see what it does. Put this one back up. And we'll talk about lesser. I love lesser. Okay, this, other than spider, probably your biggest bang for the buck in a single snake look. Just the pattern is wonky. The color is wonky. It's pissed off because it's about to go into shed. See that pink belly? Hopefully that means you're going to start breeding really well and make me some more bells this year. So, beautiful snakes in their own right. Very earth tone, if you like that sort of thing. But what lesser can do, That's the secret. And let me show you what lesser can do. Where did they go? Not there. Where did I put you? Right here. This, every time I show this snake, I always have people say, what is that? What is that? I get asked about this snake on camera more than probably anything else. It was featured in one of our angry snake videos. And I was like, what was that snake you showed? This is a lesser ghost. So just 2 genes, 1 recessive, 1 incomplete dominant, and you get that really, really cool looking snake. I can't wait to add a pastel into this mix as well. I think it'd be just out of this world. So I am a big fan of those. And look, that's in shed too. Another pink belly. I swear, these girls all end up going to shed at the same time. Because in the same rack. They're also, a lot of them are all breeding, so that's part of it. We're going to start cycling some of that together as we're starting to go into some of our ovulations and things like that down the road. Close that back up. But now, here's the best part about lesser. Lesser, like Super Pastel, has a super form. And that is it. That's where you get that iconic, solid white snake with blue eyes. And that one is one that we hatched out this year. That was a combo to our lesser female I showed you from a lesser pastel possible sulfur male. And just look at it. I mean, look at me in all my glory is what she's saying. These are beautiful. She's also possible pastel. We can't tell though until she's big enough to breed. So, having the ability to make that iconic snake right there, starting that single gene of lesser, I think is hard to beat. I really, really do. Let me put you back in. Alright, Kurt. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about, too. Lesser goes really well because it is allelic with other genes. So lesser bamboo makes all white snake. Lesser Mojave makes all white snake gray head. And when you do that with those allelic genes, and then you breed it later, if I make a lesser Mojave bell, so I breed a lesser to Mojave, I get an all white snake with a gray head or an all white snake. And I breed that, every baby it has will be either lesser or Mojave. So what I would do is I'd put that to a GHI, make some GHI lessers and some GHI Mojaves. Very, very sweet. Alright, Kurt, give me another one. One more.
Would yellow belly be good?
Yellow belly. See, Kurt knows how to pick these things when I ask him because yellow belly, and this is a fire yellow belly female here. Matter of fact, I think we just showed her in our last video too. Problem is, most of my yellow belly stuff also has fire in it. But what's really cool about these animals is yellow belly improves everything. It's just an amazing, amazing animal. I'll show you another example of yellow belly doing wonderful things. Oh, and of course, you're in shed. Let me show you a young snake that's in shed. And we're not sure what's in her. It's either a yellow belly pastel, 2 genes we talked about, or a yellow belly pastel fire. And that looks like crap right now. It literally is blue in the face in shed. That's how in shed it is. So, she is definitely not looking her best. But, we'll know more as she sheds a few times on what exactly she is as that fire. If it keeps brightening or if it kind of tones out, then we'll know it's just a yellow belly pastel. However, yellow belly makes everything brighter and better. Let me show you her belly. And what you look for is that pattern along the belly. Not just having marks, but it almost looks like it's digitized. See all that?
It's kind of hard with your hands.
Yeah, there you go. I'll get it better in the light. You can see how it all kind of looks digitized. That's what you're really looking for. And that's going to tell you that yellow belly is in that snake for sure. So, the other cool thing with these is I like all white snakes. I think they're awesome. I also like snakes that have super forms, which Spider doesn't, even though I picked it. When you breed yellow belly to yellow belly, you'll get what's called an ivory. That's going to be a pretty much all white snake. Usually has a stripe down its back on the dorsal, just right along the spine. It's like a yellow rose color, and they're a gorgeous, gorgeous animal. They'll make all yellow bellies. You can also put yellow belly to things like asphalt and gravel, and make like highways and freeways and country roads and whatever, everything else named after a road. So yellow belly is a big part of a lot of things, and it improves everything. Yellow belly makes everything better. There's nothing that you can put yellow belly to and ruin it. It can't happen. It may be hard to identify in certain combos and morphs to make sure it's there, but it will not make something worse. And that's one thing I absolutely love about it, is when you have a gene that can only make things better. Because for me, it's not about cramming 17 genes in one snake and being, oh, look at my gene count. I give two shits less about that, to be quite honest. For me, it's about making pretty animals. Making animals, when I open the cage, they take my breath away still today. This is why I work so hard to make my zebra bee. Yellow belly makes that happen. As a matter of fact, that that yellow belly pastel possible firefly yellow belly I showed you was also 100% het axanthic. Why? Because I want to take those colors, brighten it up with that yellow belly, with that pastel, and I want to put axanthic to it and strip those colors out, because it improves on everything. All right, Kurt, anything else you want to add or any questions?
No.
Okay, we've given you, I believe it's 4 good starter snakes. There's a ton of them out there. You know, you could say, oh, you missed this one, you missed that one. Maybe you want to start with GHIs. You know, maybe you want to start with calicos. Maybe you want to start with, I'm going to say it, Kurt. Maybe you want to start with inchies, just for Kurt. Maybe you want to start with champagne. I don't know what's going to get you going. But these are some of the ones I think are easy to find. They're not a lot to invest in to kind of get your feet wet, learn how to take care of them, learn how to breed them. We're not investing tons and tons of money to watch, you know, it drop. If you start, and that's not because the snake's not as, this life is worth less. What I'm getting at is, let's say you go, okay, I'm going to start breeding, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to buy the most expensive snake I can, and you go out there and you spend 20 grand on, like, let's say a sunset, or you know, you go out there and you buy a scaleless, a full-blown scaleless right away, and you drop, you know, a pretty penny. You can go look at what those cost. I don't need to tell you. And then you start working to breed, and your first year goes like crap, or your second year goes like crap, because you just haven't got your feet wet yet. You haven't got a feel for what you're doing, and it's nothing against anybody. It's an experience. My first year went like complete crap, like completely like crap, which is probably what formed this opinion. So then you're watching that morph, that newer, expensive morph, as more people make it, just really come down in price. And when you miss that first year and you have to take that extra step, that's where you can get upside down and start kind of hating life. Well, let me tell you something. If you get a spider, male, a pastel female, a fire female, a yellow belly female, and you breed that one male to 3 females, what do we say? Let's just pick them off this. Let's say you go lesser male, spider female, pastel female, yellow belly female. So that's what I would do on that list. And you run that lesser through those 3 snakes, and your first year goes like crap. You don't hit a single baby, incubator breaks, set up wrong, whatever. And then you come back the next year and you do it again. Those prices are not going to drop. If they do drop, it's going to be a slight drop. And your investment's not so huge that you're going to feel like you're in over your head. That's why I really like starting off small with some starter snakes to get your feet wet. Once you have confidence in what you're doing, then if you want to go drop 20 grand on a cool snake, man, go for it. It's your prerogative. But I think it's good just to kind of get that taste for it. Make sure you like it. Make sure you want to do it. Build a little bit of reputation, at least in your local area first. You know, go to some of those shows, show off some of those things. Kind of get established before you go headlong, so you don't get yourself in trouble. And of course, that's coming from somebody that doesn't have limitless funds. If you have limitless funds, whatever, but most of us don't. All right, Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.